So I was just sitting there listening to that great anthem and wishing it would go on for 20 minutes and I would not have to preach. So, see, it was such a good idea when we started this Lenten series that we would pick up on the theme of being in the boat and facing the storms that are prevalent in our world, and then seeing ourselves, our congregation, seeing itself like Peter, where we try to step out and do something different, because sitting in the boat wasn't kind of leading them where they wanted to be. So taking the risk to be Peter and learning from the story that, you know what, the first time you do something new, the first time you take a risk to act differently, it most often doesn't work out. I find that in my own life. Yesterday at Brian's service, we talked about practicing love every day, because we're not just born learning how to do it. You have to practice it and practice it and practice it. Well, in changing the way we function as a church, in this day and age when we can see what we've been doing isn't really working, we have to get out of the boat and practice doing differently, knowing that we will sink once, twice, 3 times. We get this snippet with Peter. We don't know how many times he kept trying to step out of the boat and do something different. So our theme today is refugees. How might we do something differently? What would be the risk that we would take around the crisis of refugees in the world? And again, it's a totally overwhelming topic. And I was so annoyed with myself for choosing it. And you might be annoyed with me for choosing it too. Because it's such a conundrum. But the more I worked on it, the more I avoided it, the more I listened to the news, the more I read, I realized that it was such a conundrum because it goes right to the core of our Christian values. The Christian value, which this congregation has chosen as one of your 4, and which many other congregations have chosen, is hospitality. And hospitality, in the faith sense, in the Christian sense, is a radical welcome to the stranger. It's not about coffee and tea. It's about how we put ourselves in positions so that we can meet the stranger. It is about how we open our doors to friendship, not conversion, but friendship with people whose life experience is so radically different from ours. I went to, I think I said, the City Hall after the shooting in Christchurch, and the Muslim community here in Victoria was putting on an evening, and while I was there, one of the people, a Muslim person, when she found out I was from a church, she said, "I know everyone is sponsoring refugees from Syria, and the mosque is fully engaged in sponsoring people from Syria." She said, "But I come from Palestine. There is such a need." She said, "I have two people, both have family here in Victoria. Will your church help me? Can I talk to you?" And I thought, oh God, I didn't want any commitment when I said I was from the church. I didn't want to be lobbied to do something. You know what I'm talking about? Like, because it's like you go someplace and somebody kind of says, put your money where your mouth is. I thought to myself, you know, we don't have the money. And then I thought, wow, how would you say to a refugee who's living in horrendously awful conditions that we don't have the money? So I got the person's name and didn't tell anybody about it. This radical hospitality, you know, I gotta say, it is like so out of sync with the way our community is inviting us to live nowadays. We teach our children to be afraid of the stranger. We ourselves are so inundated with news, and one crisis happens, but you can watch it for 24 hours on the news reel, and it feels like it's happened 25 times and it's happening everywhere. Fear of the stranger it's an epidemic. And here we are, sitting in a community that has as a core value the radical hospitality that Jesus offered. It is a real spiritual conundrum for me, how we live out that core value. I read an article, I read several, but one of them said, is it a basic right for refugees to expect hospitality? Is it a basic right? And this person went on to say that if you are out of the Abrahamic tradition, if you're out of the Semitic tradition, if you are a follower of the great religions that come out of the Abrahamic tradition, hospitality for the stranger is a basic right Unless you know someone is out to hurt you, the hospitality practice of Christianity, of Jesus, has always been to sit down with the stranger. You see my conundrum. How do we live it? There is probably no one of our values that will most lead us to be countercultural than the value of hospitality. I've got here 12 next steps that you can take to get involved with the refugee crisis. But you know what? I don't want to do anything yet. I want us to imagine what we understand the radical hospitality. What do we have in mind? We'll get a chance to talk about that on Thursday when we debrief and get our learnings. Because hospitality will call from us, I think, something deeper than we maybe want to give. And then we just need to say, no, we don't want to do that. Or we need to do it and figure out how we do it. We know we cannot save all the refugees. We know that. And that's not our job. Our job is only to do as much as we can to live our values. Knowing that we can't save the world, but what we can do is enliven our souls. Well, you can thank me for preaching this sermon afterwards when we're in our meeting. I'm sure you'll want to. I don't very often want to have a squirming sermon, but I have to tell you, I squirm about this. So, just passing it on. Our hymn is, "Let Us Build a House."